StraightallDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. What is that? That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques, all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called work on your game. My name is Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is stop taking half measures. Stop taking half measures. I'll explain what that means and why we're talking about it momentarily. But before we get into that, let me remind everybody, I send out a text message every morning free of charge. I call it the Daily Motivation. You get this text for free. It is guaranteed to have you focused, sharp, and on point to start your day. If I'm lying, let me know. I'll give you a refund on this free text message. All you got to do to get this text every single day is text me right now at my number, which is 305-384-6894. And every morning when the Daily Motivation comes out, because you are a member of my text community, that's the only reason why, you'll be getting this message every single day free of charge. Just text me at that number. Normal text messaging rates apply. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. Any of you has ever wondered, Dre, do you offer any kind of coaching? Do you do anything besides write books? Or do you do anything besides make content on Facebook and Instagram? Do you do anything other than that? And the answer is yes. What I do is Work on Your Game University. So if you would like to work with me directly, you want to be coached by me, if you would like to take your business, you want to make more money this year, you want to get your personal life aligned with your business life, or vice versa, get your business life aligned with your personal life. If you have been thinking about starting a business and taking it where it needs to go so you can get out of maybe working for somebody else, you got goals that you have not yet reached because you feel like you don't have the right how-to or the strategy or the system or the guidance to actually do it, and you want someone who could actually help you do it, and you've been listening to this show and you know that I can help you do it. It's not that you think I can help you, you know I can help you do it. All you gotta do is join Work on Your Game University. I already know you. I already know where you're at. I already know what you're thinking. I already know what you're considering. I already know what you've been looking at, and I already know what you want to do. You just haven't done it yet. All you got to do is join me inside of Work on Your Game University. How do you join Work on Your Game University? I'm glad you asked. All you got to do is go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. Again, workonyourgameuniversity.com. Go to that URL. The link is down below in the description if you don't want to type all that out, because this is a little bit long. So just go to the link that's down below in the description, workonyourgameuniversity.com, and everything that you need to get started in the university is right there on that page. It is extremely simple. We make it so simple that a caveman can do it. You want to join Work on Your Game University? I'm not asking you, I'm telling you, you want to join Work on Your Game University. So all you got to do is go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. Link is down below in the description. Let's stop playing around. Let's take your business and your life where it needs to be. Let's do it now. Let's stop talking about tomorrow and next week and next year and when I get out of debt and when the kids get out of school and when this is cleared up and when that's cleared up, because guess what? None of that stuff is ever going to all be cleared up at the same time. All right, so any of you who's ever been telling yourself, I'm going to do these things as soon as this, and this all get cleared up, guess what? None of those things will ever align. The stars are never going to align for everything to be cleared up all at once. So if that has been your measuring stick, I'm going to do something as soon as blank, blank, blank. All right, those things are never all going to happen at once, and I don't want you to be 65 years old talking about what you could have did or what you were thinking about doing because things never aligned for you. Let's just do it now. Let's have a conversation, and I will tell you how we can get you started in the university. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. So with that said, let's get into today's topic, which actually goes right along with that. The topic is stop taking half measures. What's the definition of a half measure? The half measure is an imperfect plan of operation or a measure, plan, effort, etc., inadequate to attain the end desired. Remember that we are in a performance and a results-based business, meaning your business and how much business you can do and whether or not you can continue to do, business is based on whether or not you are able to produce results. When you take half measures, so what ends up happening is you do things, you are taking action, which is more than a lot of people can say. But the problem is the action that you're taking is not getting you towards the actual outcome that you have prescribed for yourself. You have not gotten to the outcome that you were supposed to get to. And it's only because the action that you took was not adequate action. It was inadequate action. And today I'm going to talk to you about why you need to stop taking inadequate action. How do you even know when you are taking an inadequate action? We're going to get into all of that here in today's episode. So if this is something that has been plaguing you, and for a lot of you, this has been plaguing you, whether you know it or not, grab a pen and paper and take notes. Point number one. Topic, once again, is stop taking half measures. Number one, half measures lead to half outcomes. I mean, this is just a plain enough reason why you need to stop doing this just from the beginning. We all understand the law of karma, right? And the balance of the universe. In that, you get back from anything what you put into it. Whatever you put into something is what you get out. All right? Almost everybody agrees with this principle. So if you put a half effort into something, what can you expect other than a half outcome? You put a half effort in, you get a half outcome, right? Everybody agree with that? I think we all agree with this. We all understand it. We all agree with it. I think everyone's on the same page when it comes to this concept. So when you take a half measure and only go halfway in doing something, you will naturally only get half of the result, if that. Most of the time, you don't even get that, because the way the universe works is not an equal deal. Now, remember that human beings, that's you and I, we are imperfect. So no matter how much effort we put into something, we often don't get an equal return back from what we do. Usually we get something less than that. I usually estimate somewhere around 80%. Usually we get about 80% back from what we put in. So if you put in a $100,000 effort, usually we'll get about $80,000 out of it. That's pretty much how it works. Now, sometimes you can get even more than that, is when you go way above and beyond what everybody else does. Then you start to multiply your results. You put a $100,000 effort, you get $1 million back, if it's above and beyond what your competition where everybody else is at. But usually most people, you're going to get about an 80% ROI, return on investment. So when you go halfway, you're going to get a lot less than half out of it. One place where this is used very expertly by people who understand this is in the game of negotiation. So you're in a job interview, somebody asks you, what are your salary demands? And they're expecting to pay you around 80 grand. But you set the bar at 300,000. You may be able to anchor them to that 300,000 number and end up getting a much higher number than they would have come in had you come in at, say, $100,000. You come in at $100,000, maybe you would have ended up with 82 or 85. You come in at 300,000, maybe you end up with 125 or 140. This is called anchoring, and it's an actual negotiation technique. Now, that's a very rough example that I gave you, but the whole point is that you want to go all the way with what you are doing, and more often than not, you will end up getting a lot more out of things than if you had only gone halfway. When you go all the way with a full measure rather than a half measure, there are some times that it won't work. There are sometimes the job will say, well, look, if you're expecting 300,000, we were expecting 80,000 for this job. We think you're out of the range. So thanks, but no thanks, but we're not even going to negotiate with you because your expectation is way out of the range of what we were thinking, and we don't want you to be unhappy. So thanks for coming, but we're not going to hire you. Sometimes that might happen, metaphorically speaking. Maybe it'll happen literally, but metaphorically that can happen sometimes. But if you do this every single time, over the long run, in the big picture, you will end up with a whole lot more by taking full measures than you would have gained by taking half measures. So if you take a whole bunch of half measures, you may end up winning, quote unquote, and getting something out of every one of those half measures. The problem is each one of them is only half of what you expected because they're half measures. But if you go the full way all the time, some of them you're not going to get what you wanted. You're going to end up with zero because the person's just like, no, I'm completely out. I'm not interested. That's not happening at all. But the times when someone does agree and they do go with you, all of those wins will more than make up for all the losses. And you don't even have to have that many wins to make up for the losses. This is something that I was sharing just the other day. I was talking on Clubhouse. This video will be on YouTube too. The video that I was, or the segment that I was doing on Clubhouse. I was hosting a segment on Clubhouse with Breakfast with Champions, which is a conglomerate that I'm a part of, where I do about an hour segment every week for now. I should do more than an hour segment. They got to free up some time for me. But anyway, I was explaining in a presentation I was doing that through May of 2023, the number of sales transactions that Work on Your Game Inc. has consummated this year as compared to this time last year, like from the beginning of the year through May, first 5 months of last year compared to this year, our transactions are down 79%. Yes, you heard me correctly. Not up, down. 79% from this time last year through this time, January to May. last year, and I'm looking at the numbers right now, and I keep these very handy because, as I told you in the money increasing principles episode, you should always be paying attention to the money. So our sales transactions from last year to this year, let me see if I can find an actual number because it might have changed since the time that I said this. It was just, what's today? Today is Tuesday. I'm recording this on a Tuesday. I just said this yesterday on Monday. So successful transactions actually not 79%. Now we're down 80%. 80% successful transactions are down this year compared to last year. New customers, not repeat, but new customers are down 84% this year compared to last year. 84%. Why am I telling you these things? All right, this is not edifying information I'm giving you. It doesn't sound like, at least so far, right? But let me tell you what's up. Our gross volume from this time, the first 5 months of last year compared to this year, our gross volume is up 40%, exactly 40% so far this year compared to last year. The average spend per customer, that means every time somebody actually hits the buy button and money exchanges, they give us money. The average spend per customer this year for Work on Your Game through the first 5 months of 2023 is up 660% compared to last year. Net volume from sales is up 44.3%. Why am I explaining all this stuff to you? I'm helping you understand that and the reason that all this is happening, I'm not telling you all this to impress you, maybe a little bit, but really to impress upon you that when you take more full measures, and I can explain to you how to take more full measures in business. If you're a member of Work on Your Game University, and I will explain this to you in detail and tell you how to do it in your own business. When you take more full measures in business, you may have fewer times that you actually need to do anything, but again, the times when something happens more than makes up for the times that it doesn't. That's why I'm explaining to you. As I just told you, number of transactions is down 80%. In other words, to put that in context for all of you to understand, when we say down 80%, that means if we did 10 last year, then this year we only did 2. That means 1 out of every 5. That means every 5 transactions we did last year, this year we're only doing 1 for every 5. So we cut down our transactions by 80%. We cut it by a fifth. We cut it not by, is that by a fifth? No, we divided it by 5. All right, that's the number of transactions we got. So for every 100 transactions last year, we only got 20 this year. And fewer new people are coming into the world. But those fewer people that we have compared to last year, 1 out of every 5, the volume is way up. The spend per customer is way up. And what is the number one duty of a business? It is to produce revenue, not to produce customers, but to produce revenue. So if you had 2 customers, but they were each paying you $500,000 a piece, you made $1 million a year in business compared to last year when you had 1,000 customers and you made 80 grand. Which one would you rather have? Again, let's keep things in perspective where they need to be. So it's very important, entrepreneurs, that you're asking yourself the right questions in business. So that's a different conversation for a different day, but I'm just giving you that rough example so you all understand this. And Work on Your Game University, this is where entrepreneurs, all those of you who want to make more money in business, or those of you who are not quite entrepreneurs yet, but you would like to be one so you can make the money that you're making at your job and replace the job so you can have control over your life, have control over your schedule, have control over how you do things. All that happens at Work on Your Game University. Ask around. All right, you can see. Moving on to point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is stop taking half measures. Number 2, a job that is half done is not completed. Remember that here at Work on Your Game, we are in a performance and results-based business, as I just mentioned. All that matters is the outcome that we produce. So if the job is not completely done, i.e. if you do a job with a half measure, then you are not finished your work. You're not done for the day because you only did a half measure. Remember that human beings can only focus on one thing at a time. So you should not be trying to multitask in anything that you're doing. Focus on one task at a time, complete that task. In other words, that task is all the way done. And the only way you know something's all the way done is that you have to have benchmarks. You have to have measures to know what does done look like and what is not done looking like. If you don't know, then there's no way of knowing. You shouldn't be eyeballing this. You should know, all right, I need to do this many to know it's done. Then you move on to the next thing. This is why we have the habit of batching, for example. All batching is taking several related tasks and getting them all done at once. So the full job is completed before you move on to the next thing. This is a very useful productivity tip. I did a whole series on tips for productivity just recently here in this feed. That was episode number, productivity tips was episode 2595 through 2598. It was a 4-part series. keys to productivity. So if you didn't hear those episodes, it was just 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, you should have heard those. If you didn't, just go back and listen to those. 25, 95, 96, 97, and 98 on keys to productivity. When it comes to batching, for example, remember I was on somebody's podcast years ago, and this guy had a podcast that was about 20-30 minutes per episode, and he had guests. Every episode he had a guest on the show, and he would record all of his guest episodes. He would do like half the month in one day, and then the other half of the month other days. He would do like 15 interviews per day, twice a month, and that would take care of his entire month. And he would do these months in advance. So like episodes that were going to come out in July, he would do the recordings in like April, and he would do 2 full days of just recording episodes, and that was all he would do those 2 days, and the whole month was taken care of. And then the rest of the month he would do his other work. And I remember the day that I was recording with him, he was like, "Hey Dre, your episode number," because he was telling me, he was like, "I got 15 interviews today, Dre, you're number 4 out of 15. And he would go and knock out all 15 in one day. Then the next day he would do another 15, and his whole month was completed. That's an example of batching. Now, personally, I don't like doing it exactly that way. And my podcast is solo, which will actually make it easier for me because I don't have to coordinate with another person. I don't like to go so much time without recording anything because I feel like it makes me a little bit rusty in terms of my ability, my mouthpiece, as we say, my ability to articulate and talk. I like to not have so much of a gap between recording times because it keeps me sharp. So I'll record 2, 3, or 4 episodes most of the time, every time that I record. I never record just one episode. So people ask me that often, do you record one episode every single day? The answer is no. I'll record 2, 3, or 4 episodes every time I turn the mic on. So I'm batching them, and I always record more than a week's worth of episodes every week. So each week, at minimum, I'm going to record 8 episodes because it's 7 days in a week. So if I'll record 8, then I have an extra one that is sandbagged, so to speak. So as of right now, let me see where I'm at. Sometimes people will ask me this, they kind of put 2 and 2 together, they understand it. Right now I am 21-6, I'm about 27, 28 episodes up as of the day that I'm recording this, but the day you're listening to is not the day that I'm actually recording it. So I'll probably be a little over a month, maybe close to 2 months up in terms of sandbagged episodes by the time you hear this, which means I could go a whole month without recording anything and no episodes will be missed because I got extra episodes recorded. The whole point is it's about batching. You want to do the full measure of getting everything done. And again, I'm not saying you need to do this specifically with what you're doing. The whole point is I know what I need to get done. I know I need to record 8 episodes a week or I'm not done recording for the week. This guy knew he needed to do 15 episodes in each of those 2 days a month that he recorded his interviews. In other words, and if he didn't do that, he wasn't done. All right, that's the point. You need to know what done looks like for you and make sure you're not allowing yourself to stop until you get to the done point. That's the productivity tip. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is stop taking half measures. Number 3, when a job is half done, someone else could come along, complete the job that you didn't complete, and then they take credit for all the work. They get credit for the groundwork that you laid, that you didn't complete, and the work that they did on top of it because you didn't finish the job. And not even half done. You do it 80%. They could do just 20% and get all the credit because you did all the work, but you didn't finish the work. And it's how you finish that matters. All right, people remember to finish, and sometimes they remember to start. But you better make sure you're buttoning everything up and not allowing someone else to come in and close your deal that you didn't finish. You're in sales and there are multiple salespeople working in your office. You don't want to get 80% of the way with a prospect, then not close them. Somebody else comes along and gets the last 20% of that prospect. They might end up getting your commission. You laid all the groundwork for that commission, but they get the money. All right, I've seen this happen in sales places. I've been in battles with salespeople over this when somebody didn't complete a sale or I didn't complete a sale, then the other person completed the sale, then we're arguing over who gets the commission. I've seen this happen because somebody didn't finish the job. Sometimes it was me. So another thing that could happen, somebody could come along and undo the effort that you have already put in because you didn't finish it. The job was not completed, so they can come along and undo the work that you did up to this point because the job wasn't finished. We all know the story of, give you an example here, Christopher Columbus. All right, we all remember being taught, I don't know what they teach in school now, they probably teach it vastly different than what we learned. We were taught that Christopher Columbus discovered the United States of America. Now, while there have been, people have kind of changed that story up, that when Christopher Columbus came here, we know that there were already people here known as the Native Americans, which he called Indians, and some people still call them Indians ignorantly. They're not from India, but anyway, they were Native Americans. Columbus what he did discover was he discovered America for the people over in Europe who didn't know that it was here. So even though he didn't discover it, period, because there were people already here, so there was really nothing to discover technically, he discovered it for people who didn't know that there was land over here. So we do have to give him credit for that. Now again, in today's school textbooks, who knows what the hell they're telling you about Christopher Columbus? Probably things that are much more sinister than what we learned. But the whole point is, while I'm bringing up Christopher Columbus, why is our country not named the United States of Columbus? I mean, he discovered it, right? And it wasn't until the last, 20 years, maybe? That, not even 20 years, 10, 15 years, that people started kind of changing the story about Christopher Columbus and telling you a little bit different things about Christopher Columbus. I ain't that old to remember what they were saying about Christopher Columbus when I was in school. Why is it not called the United States of Columbus? It's a question for you. I know the answer. The answer is Christopher Columbus did not complete the job and make sure that he got credit for his creation. He did not finish the job. He did a good amount of the job, but he didn't finish the job. Now, even though there are many cities in America named after Christopher Columbus, any city named Columbus is named after Christopher Columbus, as Alexandrias are named after Alexander the Great, and there are many cities that are named after certain people. There's a guy by the name of Amerigo Vespucci. He was a map maker. He's the one who actually got credit for the United States of America because he's the one who started to make maps and actually point out that there was this country over here. And since he was the one who was most credited with, or widely recognized with, putting this new land that Columbus had found on a map so everybody could see it, he ended up getting credit for it, so he just named it after him. That's why we have the United States of America. So there's a little trivia for you. You can use it your next family get-together. Columbus did not service the account after making the sale, metaphorically speaking, and this is why he didn't get the full credit for the work that he did. I mean, he still gets pretty good credit. I mean, we still got Columbus Day, I think. We still have Columbus Day? They might have changed it now, right? I don't think they even call it Columbus Day anymore. I think they came up with something else to call it because they don't want to give Christopher Columbus credit for anything. Let me see what they call it. Columbus Day is generally in October, right? Let me see what they're calling it now. I'm just looking it up on the calendar. So yes, it still is Columbus Day, but they also have Indigenous Peoples Day. So it's like both of them happening at the same time. So this year, 2023, Columbus Day is Monday, October 9th, but there's also on Monday, October 9th, you have Indigenous Peoples Day, which is the Native Americans. They call it Indigenous people. What the difference is, don't ask me. Anyway, yeah, so now they just added that in because they still want to give Columbus credit, which they should. They should give Christopher Columbus credit because, listen, a lot of us wouldn't be here in the freest country in the world with the most opportunity there is if Columbus didn't let everybody know that it was here. So he should get credit for that. That's my opinion on that. With all that said, I think, was that my last point? I gotta pull my notes back up here. Yes, that was my last point. So let me recap today's class, which is stop taking half measures. Definition of a half measure is an imperfect plan of operation or an action that is inadequate to attain the end desired. Number one, half measures lead to half outcomes. We all understand the law of karma, that you get what you put in. So if you put in a half measure, you shouldn't expect anything more than half back. And usually, because we are imperfect creatures, you're not even going to get that. Number two, a job half done is not completed. Remember that here at Work on Your Game, we're in a results-based business and performance-based business. So if your job is not completely done, then you are not finished. You need to know what finished means for you and do not allow yourself off the hook until you have achieved that outcome. And number three, when a job is half done, someone can come along and take credit for what you did, or they can undo the work that you did. This is why Christopher Columbus does not have a country named after him. This country should be called, well, he actually does. He has there are countries like Colombia, which might be named after Christopher Columbus. Some of you can do the research on that and let me know. But this country should be named the United States of Columbus. He didn't get credit for it because he didn't service the account. He did some of the work, but not all of the work. And Amerigo Vespucci ended up getting credit for the work that Christopher Columbus did. With all that said, text me. Let me know the best insight you got from today's class. My number is 305-384-6894. And Work on Your Game University. You're done taking half measures. You're done living your life halfway. You're ready to really get serious about taking things where you want to go in life, and you understand that you're on the clock and you don't have forever to get around to this. So you can stop telling yourself, "I'll do it when," "I'll do it someday," which ends up being never. You're ready to put a cease to all that nonsense? Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. Stop playing around and let's get started. You can work with me directly and we will get you where you need to go in short order. That's workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre all day.